Hello everybody, welcome back. So let's have a look at Bitcoin then. Bitcoin's still in that battleground, and a couple of interesting things to note about Bitcoin really, because it could go either way. There's some really interesting support and resistance taking place at the moment, but I have to say, even though we are above all moving averages, which is an extremely bullish situation to be in, and most of those moving averages, they're not quite there yet, but they're almost in a nice rainbow pattern to suggest a continuation of the move up. We're finding our support at this descending trend. The descending trend that we've been at, which used to be a significant resistance for us, appears to be, just on these daily candles, a support for us. So we're bouncing more or less on it, but the support is descending in itself, and we're testing it every single time, making lower highs every time. And not lower lows exactly, but we're getting there, to be honest with you. It's almost lower lows. We're finding supports on that at the moment, which isn't, I mean, it's good for one thing because we've got a support trend, but the support trend is descending. And what it really needs to do is make this big push and a push back up above 10,000, which is still a way off, but when we look at candles like this, it's not out of the realms of possibility, but I'm not really feeling it right now, even though all indicators do suggest a move to the up. Now, the one thing that I've always been holding on to is this thing here, which again I keep going on and on about it. Just make this screen a little bit bigger for you. I keep going on about it, and it's something that on most charts it generally means something, and it's for long-term trend direction. It's not for anything other than that, which is the Ichimoku cloud, which even though we're above the cloud, which is good, we have a cross that took place. Where was it? It was the cross took place here, which meant that we're likely to see a continuation down. Now that happened on the weekly. We had a red candle, but oh dear. Sorry about this. How embarrassing. So yeah, we had a descending trajectory still, and this cross was a long time in the making. So it wasn't something that just came out of the blue. It was going to be created if this continued. And what it would generally mean is that we're going to continue further down. Now, I had my eyes fixed on this level here, which was the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud, which is around about 6,600. A lot of people came to their own conclusions that would also be likely to be a bottom before a big bounce. We didn't make it there. We rocketed from this level here, which was 7,300, and we really did rock it at that point. But if you look at the state of this candle, we had almost as much wick at the top as we did at the bottom. The candle bodies stayed in the middle, which it shows complete, almost perfect indecisiveness of which way it's likely to go as a result of that. That was a big rejection from there, that was a big support from there, but also at the same time, it's one of those candles where it's just very difficult to read much into that. And we're talking weekly here, so yes, we did make big moves. Those moves did peak at 10,000, so was it 10,300 or so, 10,500 almost, yeah. But now we're finding some selling pressure going on. Now, if this continuation happens, which it should generally happen, a continuation of the move down after an Ichimoku cloud cross, because I'll tell you something, I mean, Bitcoin is a young asset. Even though it's 10 years old, it's still very young. So, Ichimoku clouds work best on long-term assets because it spots long-term trends and cycles and tells you which way it's likely to continue. Now, we had an Ichimoku cloud cross here to the down for the first time on this chart that we've got here, and we continued all the way down to this level. We had an Ichimoku cloud cross to the up around this level, which had a continuation all the way to move up to this level. And we had an Ichimoku cloud cross here, which would suggest continuation down, which, I expect that to happen, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people, including me, at this moment in time are saying that it could quite possibly go back up to 10,000, and that is not off the cards when you look at the state of the daily chart. The daily chart has a nice posture here. The MACD is way above the 0 point there, looking bullish, but again, we're descending and we've got that cross, and even though all our moving averages are this way, they have been forced into this move because of this. And I'm not one for looking into the news of things. I like to trade Bitcoin because it used to be less vulnerable to those sorts of things. But now it would appear that a lot of this move, at least half of this move, the first body of this move, was caused from that excitement from China changing their mood about Bitcoin and basically creating a huge candle of the up. I believe that the majority of this level here, this wick that we found here, where we came back down, because this is important to note, we came back down to close underneath this descending trend. Look at this candle close, just underneath it. So this would be, to me, the retail FOMO getting involved after such a big move and closing back down perfectly underneath the descending trend where we have been rejected from each time. Now, because we're now making lower highs and we're also making lower lows on the daily chart and finding our support on this level here, I think there's a very strong chance, despite the way that this whole chart looks, we didn't get the death cross that we were expecting, which was good. Our moving averages are all looking pretty good. We're having several crosses take place for the in the favours of the bulls, but I believe a lot of this now is the retail money that came in. So normal people like you and me, or should I say people perhaps maybe less experienced, trying to get involved, thinking that it's going to go back up to its previous highs, which it could quite easily get up to that level. I'm not going to write that off at all. Trust me, I am not saying I'm not bearish. I'm not a perma bear, but I am very, very cautious over this move because you've got to read into what the chart tells you. Candle bodies are great. Wicks like this are not great, because this shows this tells you a little bit of the psychology of the people who are involved and just generally the sentiment of the trading that took place on this on these two candles here, and it's no coincidence that our candle body closed here on this descending trend. Now, I do think if I was to put my money on it, I would say that we're probably going to dance around here maybe for a little longer, but we're going to find our way back beneath this trend, I think, and we're going to continue down into the 7,000s, 8,000s to 7,000s. Now, I am not 100% sure of that. Of course, I'm not. Like I say, Bitcoin it does crazy things and things that technical analysis cannot account for. But the things that do matter to me are the long-term trend analysis. And the long-term trend analysis I hold now is on the weekly, because the daily obviously is a good one to look at, but the weekly is probably the better one to be looking at when we're spotting about where it's likely to go. Currently we're underneath the centre of the Bollinger Band, finding rejection from the centre of the Bollinger Band on this last week. We're being crushed between the Bollinger Band and this descending trend as the support for us. If we break down beneath that, where's it going to take us? To the bottom of the Bollinger Band here is going to be 7,760. Well, we've got moving averages here. We've got the green 50. We've got the 21-day close there. We've got a few things to hold us up, but generally speaking, this could quite easily come back down to this level, and then even just if it comes back down to that level, we would expect a continuation, like the Ichimoku cloud has been wanting us to do, as it wanted us to do here, as it wanted us to do here. We've got probably, if this holds any weight, which it usually does on stocks and forex and anything really, when we get across like that on a weekly, it means continuation down. So we can mess around here, maybe even for a week or so. That's no problem, but it's going to be coming down because the continuation wants us to come down. Now, I'm just one person in hundreds of thousands of traders and analysts on the internet, and a lot of the time, I'm right, but there are, significant times, 25% of the time, I'm wrong, and that's fine, because I would say that that's normal. No one has a perfect trading record, but I have to say, I believe a long term, and when I'm trading, trust me, I took a long one today and I closed it off within about 30 minutes, with quite a nice gain, because that's how I would trade. Just like trading forex, you sit down, you see what you can do in that hour that you've got spare, and you make some money. But we're talking about long-term trend analysis now, and this is coming down. I'm telling you, it wants to come back down. If not down into the 8,000s, you know, at a minimum, it would be down into the 8,000s. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rattling on now. Like I say, it's just a word of advice, a little bit of caution. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice, but I would be very cautious about placing anything until it breaks certain levels. This to me looks like the retailers got their asses kicked basically on this wick here. Lots of people will be burning their tether when they saw this move, thinking this is it, we're moving, because that was a 35% move if I remember rightly, from top to bottom there. Thinking that's it, let's get back in, you know, let's buy some Bitcoin, let's get back invested, and then they just had their asses kicked, unfortunately. And it looks like they're continuing to have their asses kicked right now, and if this continues, their asses will be kicked for at least another month or two, probably into next year, before this bounces and reverses. Now, we do have, like I say, some good signs on the daily, but on the weekly, it's not that great, to be honest with you. The weekly, like I say, wants to continue down. Anyway, I will leave it with you there, and thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice weekend actually, and yeah, take it easy.